Good day, everyone. Thank you and welcome to this live ConnectWise Business Management Solutions presentation. Today's topic is called ConnectWise Mastery Series, Business Management, AMA, or Ask Me Anything. And the topic today is quoting. So our goal here is to allow you time to ask us ConnectWise experts, as ConnectWise colleagues, anything about quoting. We really want you to feel confident in quoting, whether that's starting with that PSA opportunity, quoting in CPQ, or using WisePay to collect down payments. Whatever your quoting needs are, we're here to help. So just so you know how this EMA works, on the side of your screen there is a questions pod. So please ask us any questions. Go ahead and enter them in the chat right now. And without further ado, let's get started with our speaker introduction.
Good day, everybody. I'm Chris Baxter. I'm a Partner Success Manager based in the United Kingdom. I've been working for ConnectWise now for 6 years, but worked for an MSP before joining ConnectWise. I initially started doing implementations for ConnectWise Sell, as it was called back then, CPQ now. So I spent 3 years doing implementations, and then the last 3 years I've been working in the Partner Success team, helping partners get the best out of PSA and CPQ. My background in systems goes back quite a long way. I used to implement manufacturing systems many years ago, so I've had a lot of years in my career of helping companies get the best out of the systems that they use.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
And hello, everyone. This is Kishan here. I've been with ConnectWise about 4 years now, a little over 4 years. I've spent most of my time with the product support team, supporting PSA and CPQ. Also was part of the technical engineering team, handling escalations and more of the technical aspects of issues that our partners report. And I'm currently the newest product owner for the CPQ product.
All right. Thank you, Kishan. And I'm Jennifer Ugochukwu. I'm a software training consultant here at ConnectWise. I'm based in Austin, Texas, and I'm a business management solutions subject matter expert. And I've been at ConnectWise about 2 years now, but before joining ConnectWise, I worked at a ConnectWise partner like you. So I had experience doing PSA and CPQ administration for the MSP that I worked on. So I'm really excited to be on this side of the aisle and share with you all of the things about ConnectWise Business Management Solutions. So let's get started with the questions in the chat. I see we have some questions coming in. And again, just as a reminder, this is Ask Me Anything. So please put your questions in the chat and I will do our best to answer them as we can. And we also have a call to action at the very end of this presentation. If we can't get to your questions, don't worry. But let's go ahead and start with the first question I see here. The first question is, I like the banner in ConnectWise Sell, formerly Sell, now known as CPQ, which stands for Configure Price Quote. And they say they are missing the cost amount, and they say they use that number to confirm they are equaling the vendor total. So it looks like the question is, how can I get the cost amount to appear? And it perhaps is referring to the grid view or the header. So I'll probably let Kishan take that one. I think he wants to share it.
Yep, thank you. I think that I can chime in on that a little bit. So I think Gwen is referring to the new quote header that was released in our .8 CPQ release. So that did expand on all quotes by default. And the cost field was, it's not currently in the header like the partner is reporting. We did have a lot of feedback, and I appreciate everyone that gave us feedback on things they would like to see in the quote header. Cost was a very consistent feedback across a lot of partners, and that is something that we've re-implemented, and we do expect to see that updated in coming release. So cost, and there is some additional fields that we receive feedback on that partners would like to see in the quote header. So those have been implemented as well, and we should be seeing those in the upcoming releases.
Okay, and what release date, just around, do you have an approximate release date just in case partners are looking out for that?
We do have an update to that quote header that's going to be in our September .9 release. That's going to be rolling out across instances, CPQ instances, about the second week of September.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
I'll take the second question, which is about creating a quote in CPQ. Is it better to add parts to PSA opportunity first and then have them populate over into CPQ, or alternatively, would it make sense to add them directly into CPQ? What are the pros and cons? So I'll share my screen if I can.
Jennifer, just one moment, please, while we switch over the screen to Chris here. He's going to share his CPQ instance with us to talk about this question.
Okay, hopefully you can see my screen now. Now, if you add products to an opportunity and then create the quote, you get a box, as you know, that prompts you to say, do you want to copy those products over to the quote? And the way that those products are mapped depends upon a setting on the tab. So if I click on this product tab here and go to Edit tab, and then scroll down to this setting here, ConnectWise Manage Type. What this means is that if a product is inventory or non-inventory class, and I think bundle class as well, but that's obviously less common, then those non-inventory, inventory, and bundle class products will get added to the first tab on the quote where the ConnectWise Manage Product Type is product. Similarly, if you have any service class products on the opportunity, then they would get added to the first tab on the quote where the ConnectWise Manage Type is service. And then for any agreement class products, you'll find that they get added to the first tab on the quote where the ConnectWise Manage Type is agreement. Now, where this sometimes kind of goes wrong, if you like, is a partner might not have a tab on the quote where the ConnectWise Manage Type is service. So their service class items don't end up on the right tab. They might end up on the product tab. And similarly, agreement class items might end up on a product tab. And recurring items, if you add them to a product tab, they're going to look like the prices are zero, because obviously the recurring prices wouldn't appear on a product tab because this tab shows one-time prices. So whilst you can add products to an opportunity and map them over to a quote, it often leads to confusion. And I've had partners say things like, my product disappeared. And the reason was they ended up on a cover letter tab, as for instance. And when they were on the cover letter tab, they couldn't see them. So quite often, adding the products to the opportunity and mapping them over to the quote causes some level of confusion. And therefore, generally in implementations, we kind of said, yeah, it'll work, but probably you're better off not doing it that way. The other thing can happen is if you've got two product tabs on a quote, such as this one, they wouldn't have the same tab name, but nevertheless, they both have the ConnectWise Manage Type set to product. You might want some of the products on the opportunity to be on this tab and some of them to be on this tab, but the mapping isn't sophisticated enough to know which of the two tabs you want them on. So all of the inventory and non-inventory class products will end up on the first tab and none on the second tab. So it works, you can do it, but to avoid confusion, it's often better to create the quote and then use the product search button to find the products that you actually want to add onto which tab.
Now, if I may, I would like to add on to this. This is a really great question because it speaks to a question a lot of partners have. So when you have that opportunity with a customer, you create the opportunity first, that you're prospecting with the customer, seeing if they're still a good fit for your services. And at that time, it might be tempting to add those products before creating that quote, but we really recommend using the estimates in that forecast pod, in that PSA opportunity, so that you can track what line items you plan to sell to customers. Because if you go ahead and create new products or add products to that opportunity before you've even quoted the customer, before the quote is won, it might be the case that the quote isn't actually won, and you might have accidentally or unintentionally added products you haven't even sold to customers in your product catalog. So before that quote is created, it's really recommended to add those estimates in the forecast pod. So for forecasting purposes and checking out that sales funnel, you can still see what deals are being worked through that sales funnel, through the pipeline, without clogging up the PSA product catalog with items you actually haven't sold or won to your customers.
Yep. And if we're ready for the next question, I'll read the next one. We see my question would be, once a client approves a quote electronically via CPQ, it does not automatically sync on CW Manage. I mean, how do we sync it since it's approved electronically? So by it being approved electronically, I think we are referring to Order Porter. Order porter, as we may know, that is one of the ways that we deliver quotes out to our clients. So this is where our partners will send a quote out to their client to be reviewed and signed. So once that process is complete, the client has signed the order porter page, and that comes back into CPQ, and we see that as approved. At that point, you would click the opportunity details icon, which is in the upper right-hand corner. Sometimes it's referred to as a sprout. When that button is clicked, it will take you to the opportunity details screen, so you can do a final review of what information is going to be pushed over to the PSA opportunity. That will be the one information going over to the PSA opportunity.
Yes, can I also? Oh, sorry.
Just one more thing I want to add as well. There is a way to kind of automate that update as well using a feature called Success List. We do have Success List profiles that track quotes through different stages, and you can configure Success List to say, hey, once a quote is signed by a customer, update the attached opportunity, and that is a feature that you can leverage to have that opportunity update done automatically for you.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Kishan. And also, once the customer has signed that quote in Order Porter, the status by default will change to customer approved, but you'll still want to navigate to the update opportunity screen, and you can do that from that windscreen there. So I believe Chris was on it just a moment ago. So Chris, you can navigate to the windscreen and select update opportunity. You'll be able to see that once that quote has been signed, that's when you can change that manage type or that opportunity grouping type under opportunity details to group by line item, because the quote is one, and then those items, like Chris mentioned, that are in the appropriate tab and they have the correct manage type. If those are brand new products, like for example, if they were sourced from Eatalize and they're not already in your product catalog yet, once that opportunity has been won or the quote is signed in CPQ, you'll navigate from that windscreen to this screen and select the group by line item under opportunity grouping type. And then once you click save here, those line items will transfer over to that PSA opportunity with the correct managed type. So it's a brand new product being created because you sourced it from Eatalize or from one of your integrated vendors, then that with the appropriate managed type, it will be created with the correct product class in PSA.
Okay, I'll move on to the next one. I'll take this one because Simon Gerder has asked the question. I'm pretty sure I worked with Simon in the past. So when I pass the one quote through to a new ticket, it comes on the wrong board with the incorrect ticket settings. Where can I set these defaults? And you may have noticed me clicking some stuff. It's a long time since I've had this question, so bear with me if I don't get it completely right. But as far as I can remember, you can set a default board actually on the tab. So ConnectWise Manage Board Login, it says, and therefore you can select a board. And that's a board I know I've got set up. I don't know why the drop down didn't give me more, but like I say, it's a long time since I've been asked this question because partners don't often create service tickets directly from quotes. So I'd have to make sure the tab has got a board specified. Then when I win the quote, first of all, I would update opportunity, which I'm not going to click just to save time. And having done that, I would go to convert opportunity. And I'm hoping what I'll see, having selected that default, I didn't show it, is basically here you can change the board. So you can select installations. I was hoping it was going to default. I suspected it probably wouldn't because I'm doing it all a bit retrospectively, having this being a test quote. But as far as I can remember, that setting on the tab is where you set the default board. But like I say, it's probably a good 6 years since I've been asked that question, actually. So I would need to check and find out where that setting actually is. So I'll make a note of that and come back to Simon to confirm that definitely. But as you see, when you do convert from a quote directly to a ticket, you can specify your board here. The things like default type and status and what have you, they would be inherited from the service board setup table. There isn't a way in CPQ to determine how the ticket is created with regard to its status and type and subtype and so on.
Yep. All right, thanks for that, Chris. got the next question here. This is coming from Stacy. We have a hard time with cell, formerly cell, currently CPQ, formatting even when we upload a document from Word. What is the best way to adjust bullets and formatting? So I think you're referring to where in a line item, maybe a cover letter, and we do have item notes HTML. Thanks for opening it up, Chris. So editing here, we do have the toolbar with different ways that you can edit that text on the screen or add text. We have received feedback that the formatting is a little hard to keep consistent, like you're reporting, copying something from Word, pasting it into item notes HTML here. It may not retain the exact formatting that you saw in Microsoft Word. We have right now something that feature that's behind quotes an admin flag. That just means that if you would like to test that feature, you can reach out to support and it can enable that in your instance. But right now we do have a feature called Quote Editor, which is the ultimate point is to improve the design and editability of item notes within CPQ. I would definitely advise you, if this is something that is a major pain point for your team, reach out to support so you can get that feature enabled and you can start testing it out, getting your hands on it. But it's called the Quote Editor, and that will be something that's released in our .9 CPQ release as well. So ultimately, I would say that there is a better solution for editing quotes and formatting things like cover letters or statements of work that will be coming in the next release. But if you do want to try it out right now, you can reach out to support to have the Quote Editor enabled within CPQ.
In the meantime, this import a document button I'm hovering over tends to just work better. So this is an example actually of something I was showing a partner, which is, it is a table. It's just I've set the borders to clear, so it doesn't look a great deal like a table at the moment. But see, if I go to table properties and change the color back, you'd see that it was a table. Then you'll probably recognize that actually importing something like this just by using copy paste often doesn't work very well, that the formatting doesn't survive if you just do a copy paste from a Word document. But if you use this import a document button, then you just search for a document in the usual way, searching your directories in the usual way to find a particular file. Then I'm going to cancel that because it's doing strange things on screen. Then this just tends to be more robust. So this was imported by using that import a document button. It kept the color of the headers, and it didn't change the font to Times New Roman. It managed the indented bullet points as well. So in the meantime, using this import a document button just tends to be a more robust way of having the formatting survive from the Microsoft Word document you're taking it from and into CPQ. Since I'm sharing screen, I'll answer the next one as well, which is how do I get the old quote header back? So the way you do that is you click on settings. Cashel probably would prefer I didn't tell you this because he wants to wait for the new release to come out, but since you've asked. So quote preparation, quote setup, and then you uncheck enable quote header new, and then you get the old header straight back again.
We have another question here from Paul. Paul says, I'm trying to figure out how to do a search for proposals that include one or more keywords within the proposal itself. Your search seems to be limited to keywords in the title. So I think what you're referring to, Paul, may be a keyword, maybe on a cover letter or statement of work, or maybe even a line item. If it is a line item, there is a way to compare products that you can basically search a product and see which quotes it has been on. But if you are speaking specifically to a keyword that's in a cover letter or a statement of work, that would be an enhancement at this time.
This question, our teams be checking the quote cost field on the quote setup tab as a current workaround for this. That must have been in response to one of the previous questions, but I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, I think it was about the cost being removed from the header. They were just getting them a workaround.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do see another question. When a new version of a code is created, the previous versions are locked, even if the new version is deleted. Is there a way to unlock those historical versions?
There isn't a way to unlock them, but you can bring them back to life, so to speak. So if I go into this universal test code, you'll see I'm up to version 8. Because being a test code, I keep on creating new versions of it. So if I wanted to bring version 6 back to life to make that the current, then what I do is I click on versions. I go to version 6. Actually, I'll go to version 4 because you can see the value is different. It's got a completely different set of numbers on it, so we'll be able to recognize it's different from version 8. So if I go to version 4, it'll say that it's a historical version and it's locked and all that stuff. But if I then click the plus button here to create a new version, it'll create version 9. And we should see that the code totals and what have you are as per version 4. So what I've done is I've basically brought version 4 back to life now as version 9. So that's the way to take an old version and bring it back to life and make it the current version.
Yep. I see another question, interesting one here. Is there a way to notify a sales rep if a quote is prepaid? So I'm imagining this might be a deal that was probably spoken about, client prepaid once the opportunity was created in PSA, and now we're ready to actually get the quote created and sent out for tracking purposes. The first thing that comes to my head is leveraging the custom fields and mappings between PSA and CPQ. It may involve a little update to workflow, but I can imagine if a custom field on the opportunity in PSA can be flagged to say, hey, this has been prepaid, we can map that field to a field in CPQ so that when the sales rep opens the quote, they'll be able to see that that flag is updated, it's selected, and that means it has been prepaid. That's one of the ways that comes to mind for me.
Fashol, if you could take the question about whether the margin will be coming back into the code header.
Yep. And Tim, I'll take a note of your question and your name. I don't want to misspeak. I don't have margin. I'm not sure about margin exactly, but I can verify that and come back to you for sure. Next question we have. For all the quotes we put together, we use the account picture under customer setup, customer details, quote 2. We add a PNG file for the customer logo. It regularly disappears and I have to continually re-add it. Is this a known issue? It's been happening for months and I've just accepted it as is. That shouldn't be. And it hasn't hit my radar. I'm not sure of a known issue around this. Bear with me a moment. Let me reread once more just to get better understanding. So we use account picture on the customer setup. And I would like to know where it's, is it disappearing from where you set it on quote 2?
Yes, for this type of question where we might want to dig into your instance more and see if it's unexpected behavior, I would highly recommend emailing us at education@connectwise.com. It'll go to our team and then we can do troubleshooting. If it is an issue, we could definitely address this through a case. So I'll go ahead and put that email in the chat for everyone here. If you have those kinds of questions that need a little bit more troubleshooting, we might need to investigate if this is expected behavior or not, I can definitely have you email us at education@connectwise.com, and we will make a case and reach out to you.
Okay, is it possible to change the quote PDF naming convention in CPQ? Yes, to an extent it is. That is also done in the quote setup screen, the same places where the header can be enabled and disabled, and it's done using this field here, the default PDF publish name. So it's worth checking the documentation page for that just to get a bit more expansive details of what's possible with that. But that's where you can change the default naming for the PDFs. The next one, I can't figure out how to where to change my profile default. For example, to set my location for quotes. Now, there's a couple of screens that can affect this depending on how you're creating quotes. So there is, in the opportunity setup screen, a field for how the location is defaulted. Infer location from user will usually be checked, would be worth checking to see whether that is the case. At the top of the screen here, there's also the default location as it's applied to an opportunity. If the quote creates an opportunity, so if your quoting process is you create a quote and then create an opportunity, then this has an effect on the opportunity that's applied to the location. But the main area that you're probably thinking about is in my user, which is a little further down the screen, usually off screen actually, which is maybe why you haven't seen it. So I have to scroll down to see it. As here, you can set your default location. So if I were to change this to Julian's desk, as for instance, when I go to create a quote, it will default the location on that quote to Julian's desk. Obviously, I've got it set to Chris's desk because that's the test location that I play around with. So that's probably the main area, which is in my user, a little bit further down the screen, and then the default location there.
Another question we have from Renee. When a client signs a quote through Order Porter, why does it create a new version of the quote? So that new version that's being downloaded and versioning up the quote, that will be considered the one version, the version that the client has signed. And we don't want sales reps or anyone making any changes to that quote. So that's why we import a brand new version to kind of solidify what was actually signed and approved by the client.
Yeah, and also consider that you might have added options to that quote. So for example, if in Order Porter, the customer could select or deselect options, then that's another reason why you'd want a new version that's locked down, as Kashan said.
Now, the PDF on the first version is what you sent the customer. The PDF on the new version is what the customer approved, and that includes their signature details as well. So it helps separate those two so that you don't just have a single version of the quote that's got the signature details on it as well.
Yeah, we have time for about one more question, and then we'll wrap up with some final calls to actions for the audience. So I'll let you, Chris or Kashan, decide that last question.
I'm hoping I'm not stepping on your toes there, Chris, but I would love if you can answer this one for the team. How do you color code the tabs?
So I've got I go to Edit tab. You may not have the tab color field displayed. I don't think it's displayed by default. So if you did want to add tab color, then having gone to Edit tab, click pencil. I click pencil again. I'm going to search for color, and I'm going to remember to spell it in the American way, not the English way. I would select it if it wasn't displayed. Then it would add it to here. And then having added it to there, I just select the color that I want to use. As you can see, I tend to use red for one time, orange for professional services, green for monthly recurring. And partners have fed back to me, if they were having a salesperson who kept on putting recurring products on a one-time tab, when they said to them, put the recurring stuff on the green tab, right? Got it? The green tab? They went, yeah, okay, green tab, I can remember that. So it meant they started putting the products on the right tabs.
All right, that's an awesome way to end it. So I will go ahead and share my screen again, and we will talk about some calls to action here. So in case we didn't get to answer your question, we know there are tons more questions. We even prepared some coding questions for you. Don't worry, you can reach out to us and we can still answer your questions. Of course, you can always email help@connectwise.com, but if you want to reach out to us who are a part of this event today, just navigate from the ConnectWise University homepage in that community dropdown to the ConnectWise virtual community. Or you can use this QR code, which leads you directly to this post I created in the business management virtual community. And so from here, you can view tons of information like our past Ask Me Anything business management solutions recordings, that are in the ConnectWise University video library and on our YouTube channel. You can also access the ConnectWise Hyper Automation Ask Me Anything series or the ConnectWise RMM Ask Me Anything series. So just use that QR code, navigate to the virtual community, and stay connected with us in the virtual community. If you're not familiar with what the virtual community is, it's that one place at ConnectWise where you can network with partners, chat with the product team, chat with ConnectWise experts, and stay engaged with the ConnectWise community. You'll hear first news about all the upcoming updates, features, or early access opportunities. I highly recommend staying connected in the virtual community there. And I will also post the answers to some of the best practices that Chris, Kashan, and I came up with before this presentation. Next call to action is that we have, of course, this business management Ask Me Anything series, but we have the remote monitoring and management Ask Me Anything series as well as hyper automation too, if you're interested. So just navigate to that QR code to learn more. And lastly, we have Automation Nation coming up in the ConnectWise global headquarters in the Tampa office. So Automation Nation is your opportunity to get hands-on lab experience learning how to use RPA workflows and all those awesome hyper automation features coming out at ConnectWise. So if you want to build custom actions, build workflows, and more, check that out using that registration page. And that is all for today. Thank you all so much for joining us here. Any last words, Kashan and Chris?
Thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate the questions and see you next time.
Thank you very much indeed. Yep, same here.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye now.